The number of religious leaders have rejected adjusted COVID-19 regulations, allowing 50% capacity at churches provided congregants are fully vaccinated or have a negative test no older than 72 hours. Another point of contention is the continued debate on vaccine mandates. For more on this, we're joined by ACDP leader, Reverend Kenneth Meshoe, as well as church leader, Reverend Mathebula. You're part of the conversation tonight as well. You can weigh in on Twitter at Newzroom 405, or otherwise you can send us your WhatsApp messages on 072-110-5584. Hey, pastors, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight here on In Focus.
Well, thank you, Tabo, for having us, and then good evening to your viewers tonight.
Good evening, Tabo, and to all your visitors.
Rev, Chris, let me start with you. I saw your Church Hope Restoration advert this past weekend. You said, "Come all, the doors are open, and you don't even need to register." What is this? Is this civil disobedient? Is it spiritual disobedient? Are you not planning to observe what the rules are?
No, not at all. You know, we are known as people, especially the church people. You know, all of us. We have been people who were actually working hand in hand with the government all these months. I mean, when the lockdown was introduced, we were the first group of people who complied, you know, because we didn't know what was happening and wanted to check what was happening. But listen to me, Tabo, you know, there comes the time, you know, as the church where we need to do what is right for the community. We need to do what is right for God's people. We are not rebelling against anyone. We are just doing what we're supposed to do. I mean, how do I ask people as a pastor to say, are you vaccinated or you are not vaccinated? We have never done that before. I have never asked people, are you rich or are you poor? Are you black or are you white before you come to church? Now, I need to go out there and ask people to say, are you vaccinated or you are not vaccinated? We don't operate like that in the house of the Lord. The scripture tells us that everybody is welcome into the house of the Lord. So that is exactly that we are doing. We are doing what we're doing before, opening our doors to all who are sick, to all who are well, to all who are not well. That is what we are doing. So it's not like we are rebelling to anybody. We are just doing what the scripture wants us to do. All are welcome in the house of the Lord. Rich or poor, you know, any color. People must come to the house of the Lord. And as the church, we're not going to be there and ask people, are you vaccinated? You know, that is not my job as a pastor, and we are not called for that.
Is this an issue for you of political or medical conviction, or is this an issue of Christian conscience?
Well, this is an issue of leadership. It's an issue of right citizenship, and it's an issue of being a shepherd. If you're a shepherd, you need to shepherd people in a right way. I mean, allow me to use this statement. I've never asked people before, are you straight or are you a gay? We've never asked people. People are coming to church and they need to fellowship with God. Now, if I'm going to put in a position where I have to ask people, you know, are you vaccinated? That has nothing to do with my personal conviction, but it is all about being a shepherd and then making sure that you shepherd God's people. And why should I discriminate in a country where we have been given liberation, that all people must be treated equally? So why should I begin now and start something that I cannot solve tomorrow when people are asking me why I am doing that? So all that I'm doing this as a shepherd, as somebody who cares for everybody. This is what I have done before. I cared for the poor, I cared for the rich, I cared for those who were disadvantaged, even for those who were doing well. Why now should I ask people to say, and then before you come in, you must be vaccinated? No, that is not my responsibility. I don't think God will be happy with that. We've mentioned that before when we were having a meeting with the president to say this thing is going to be a problem. We are asking you, let us not do that because we are not following the constitution by doing that. Our constitution does not allow us. So I'm a citizen who is following the Constitution.
I want to come back to that and talk a little bit more about that virtual meeting with the Deputy President and why you think that plea was not heard. But, Rev. Meshoe, let me bring you in here. When you heard the President delivering that address last week, your reaction immediately, even though the President did not mention anything about vaccine mandates, was that this is a sneaky way of introducing vaccine mandates by avoiding detection. By what measure are you drawing that conclusion?
Well, firstly, I must say that I am disappointed by what the President said. As a person who used to be a Christian leader himself, he should know better that Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, "Come unto me, all who labor and are heavy laden." He did not select, he did not discriminate, he did not keep others out. He just said, "Come unto me all." So because our leader, Jesus, has welcomed everybody, until today he's still welcoming everybody, we also should welcome everybody who wants to come to church. It would be wrong for people who are depressed, people who are sick, people who are desperately in need of maybe even compassion, as the church is a place of compassion, to be asked the question, are you vaccinated? My brother is correct, the Rev, when he says it is not our duty to ask such a question. And also it would be wrong for the public to go around asking people, are you vaccinated or not? As he correctly said, what would people say if people on the street start asking one another, are you gay or not? It is none of their business. So the church is a place for worship of all people who want to worship God, all people who want to pray, all people who want to hear the word of God, people who want to be encouraged, people who want to receive counseling. They should be able to come to church knowing that I will be welcomed, I will be received, and I will be helped. So it is wrong for a person like President Ramaphosa, who knows the scriptures, to want to cause church leaders to turn against the scriptures. Yeah. The scriptures expect church leaders and pastors and shepherds to be outgoing and welcoming to everybody. That is why I say they are making a mistake. Yeah. Government is making a mistake. They must not make people to think that the apartheid government treated pastors and leaders with better respect than this current government. And obviously, we are not happy. We're not going to receive what they're saying, and we must be quick to remind government. ANC is where it is today because of the church. Yeah. If all churches would close their door because of a government that does not respect them, a government that is led by president who say, you must discriminate against other people. While we are fighting discrimination, they are trying to bring in discrimination through the back door. And obviously we reject that, sir.
Now, as a lawmaker yourself, I mean, you would understand these things better than I would. But I believe with the latest, of course, amendments that are being made to bring these regulations, Rev. Meshoe, into part of the law in the country via maybe the Public Health Act or via the Employment Act. COVID-19 under the Department of Labor has now been listed as a Group 3 hazardous biological agent under South Africa's hazardous biological agent regulations. COVID-19, in other words, is recognized as one that may cause severe disease, which presents a serious hazard to those who are exposed to it. Is it not a responsibility and a duty of the church to protect its members from such?
There is no scientific proof that vaccination prevents people from being infected. No scientific proof. There are many people who are vaccinated, including the president himself and some cabinet ministers who were infected with COVID. You know, if government was saying this is the only thing that can prevent you, that can cause you to be safe, look, there is nobody who has been vaccinated, who does not have injuries, who has been infected, who would say maybe he's talking. So I think it is shameful and disingenuous for government that knows that people who are vaccinated are as vulnerable as those who are not vaccinated. We have lived with flus most of our time, most of our lives. And we have been told that the latest variant, Omicron, is mild. Some people even say milder than ordinary flu. So if Omicron is this mild, and governments still want to force people to take it, I think they must reconsider their position and also know that people are not fools. All right? The president must know people are not fools. Christians are not fools. There comes a time when we say, as my brother said, we have been cooperating with government, but now they are taking us for granted. And if they are taking us for granted, the nature of the sheep in us is going to be replaced by the nature of the lion. That they must know. There's righteous, as the scriptures are saying, are as bold as a lion. If Christians can say, because of the way government is now treating us, we'll stop voting for them, ANC's days are over. They know that. That's why every elections they run to churches. So they must treat churches with respect so that churches will continue respecting them also. But if they want to show their unnecessary undemocratic dictatorial styles, as now they are now shifting their direction, it don't be pleasant for them, definitely.
Sabo, I don't know if I can jump in.
Yes, please. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you know, I don't think it is right to use double standards and then you actually attack or you overlook the church. I mean, I just flew recently to Durban. Nobody asked me in the plane to say, where is your vaccination certificate? We spoke about 1 meter distance, social distancing. In the plane, they don't use that. In the business world, who are the people who are owning these businesses and then we overlook them? We don't use the same rule for everybody. You know, I mean, where are those people who are asking questions at the mall? You enter in the mall, nobody's asking you, you know, where's the vaccination certificate? You go to Macro, big shop, hundreds and hundreds of people in those malls. Nobody's standing there to say, where is your vaccination certificate? You know, my problem with these rules is that they don't apply to everybody. There are those, you know, these rules, they don't, I mean, it's not for them. But when it comes to church, it's like, these are your rules. I mean, let them start with these planes, you know, right in the planes, ask people, and then also deal with that social distance, because it does not make sense to me. What type of science, you know, that are we applying here? In the plane, there's no virus, you know, and then in the church,
it could be argued that the 50% capacity regulation is applicable to all, not just religious gatherings.
But in the plane, there's no 50% capacity in the plane.
Let's talk then about this question, Rev. Are you saying that 100% of your congregation is of the conviction that they are safe without vaccine certificates?
No, I won't say that. I even mentioned today at our in the church. I said, I'm not going to discriminate against my children. I'm not going to make other children to feel better than others. Those who are vaccinated, thank God, you have made that position. That is good for you. You have done a good thing. Those who have not vaccinated, I'm not going to force them. And I'm not going to make them feel bad as if now they are more of a devilish because they have not done that. It is my responsibility as the father, as the leader, as a shepherd, to make sure that people, they come into the environment, you know, of a church, you know, and they must feel okay. They must be at peace. They must not be discriminated against or feel that they are less compared to other people. So what I said to them, be in the presence of God, make yourself comfortable, keep that social distancing, put the mask on, and worship God right here in the presence of God. And what happens after that, and then it is something that really, it is beyond my shoulders. But I take, you know, those precautions. We do what we are supposed to do, and it is just up to them to be at home when they are in the church.
So you're saying that your respect of their conviction goes as far as to say, you can be a part of us, I will not discriminate against you. What if they strongly feel that they need to be protected against people who are not vaccinated? Well,
here we go. We've got different services that we are applying. Those who feel they cannot go to church. We've got a social, they can watch the services through social media, but I would never tell people to say, you who are not vaccinated, you are not welcome here, or you are risking their lives. Remember, we are living in a country where people, they've got their rights. Let us respect the rights of the people. This is what we have been taught all the time, that we must respect the rights of the people. I'm not going to force anybody. I'm not going to force anybody, Thabo, to say, go in and take the vaccination. If anything happens, with them, how will I answer that in their lives if anything goes wrong with them? So it is their choice. It is their right to do that, and I must respect that. And then I must honor that and congratulate those who have done it. Nobody is less of a devil here just because he has done one of the things. My role as a leader, I need to unite my people. I need to love them equally. I need to respect their decisions and their choices. Just like a son, your son who decides, Daddy, I want to marry that woman. I don't have much to say. All that I need to do is to support my son when he wants to marry the woman that he loves, because he has the right and he must do that.
Reverend Meshoe, that's precisely the argument. The argument is that no one is forcing anyone to be vaccinated. If you get vaccinated, good and well for you. If you don't want to get vaccinated, as Rev Mathebula says, you have a choice. You can go to an online service. It's a matter of choice.
Sure. No, he's right. I agree with him. Now, President Ramaphosa guided the team that wrote the current constitution. He was the leader. The whole world, maybe let me say to be safer, most of the world, applauded South Africa and the president for a constitution that observed and protected the rights of all. Now, the same man is now leading a campaign to violate the rights that are in the Constitution, the rights that he himself promoted. It is wrong. If President Ramaphosa wants to maintain the respect that we have for him, he must be a man of principle. He must be a man of a strong backbone. If there are people who are whispering into his ear, do that, and he knows it is not right, he should not do it. If he wants the public to respect him, continually respect him, let him stand for what is right. We know that last year, in the beginning of last year, he said nobody is going to be forced. So what is he saying now? When did he decide to somersault and to change his position? Why didn't he tell and give reasons why he changed his position? Because he said nobody is going to be forced. Now, there are many people in South Africa who don't want to vaccinate. So is he now saying to churches, force those who don't want, so that they can come and bring their vaccination certificates to the church? And if they don't do that, keep them out of church. That is something that true shepherds, true Christian leaders will not do. True shepherds, unless they are hirelings, true shepherds, true men and women of God will not force anybody to take the vaccination against their personal choice. It is a choice that government must respect.
It's been argued by many health professionals who actually have given a thumbs up to the president's decision, actually, which I have seen. And of course, you could be listening to other voices and alternative experts as far as you are concerned where you come from. But they are saying this is a public health process. There's enough evidence for them to support that this is a public health intervention. It is effective in minimizing the spread. It facilitates a safer opening and a quicker return to some kind of a new normal. So it's effective to them scientifically. Does your theology stand against that?
Thabo, I can jump in. We respect the professionals. And I also think we must also be treated as professionals as well. Somewhere, somehow, people, they need to back off when it comes to other things that we can do better as ministers as well. We've got our space where we can operate. We have not, attacked some of the things that did not make sense to us. For an example, here's another scenario here. You are being told, go to the restaurant. When you get into the whatever the mall, put your mask. But the moment you sit, that down there and begin to dine, you can take off your mask and begin to eat. It's like this COVID now understands to say, now this man, he's eating, I must never just touch him. It still does not make sense to me as an individual. But I'm respecting the professionals. That is how they're explaining it, the science, and then I'm honoring that. People, they need to come to a point where they honor and respect our space, that we are ministers of the gospel, and then we still follow the protocols. But I cannot, as Reverend Meshoe is saying, I cannot tell people don't come to church. I'll be accountable to God. What will I say one day to God? That I have expelled people to say don't come to church because, and then you don't have a vaccine certificate. No. Now you are pushing us to another place where we cannot even explain it to ourselves. Yeah. How do I say to people don't come? Because you don't have a vaccination. I'm a shepherd. But I have been trained, and my conviction is that all the people must come in and receive the grace.
You would, though, Rev, I'd argue if there was a clear disaster that could endanger the people if they insisted on coming to church, tell them not to come to church. And you will be within your Christian conscience to do that.
May I ask Thabo to raise his voice, please? I'm losing this.
It is not clear. I can't hear you.
What I'm saying is you would, if there was a national disaster that could bring people in danger, tell them not to come to church. In fact, you would close your church on that day to say there is a serious national disaster here. The grounds will swell and people will die. So I would rather you stay at home.
No, Thabo, if you remember very well, I think we're the first church, if I'm not mistaken. When COVID was introduced, I was the first one, and then who made an announcement to say we are going to close our church because we didn't know what is it that we're dealing with at that time. As much as the government themselves didn't know. That is why they had to dig over 1 million graves thinking 1 million people will die, and it never happened. So when that happened, we closed our churches. But now you realize as the time goes on to say, no. Here, some other people are taking us for a ride. Look at those campaigns before the elections, and then everything was just okay. Everybody was given the grace to operate, to go and campaign in numbers. The president himself, with due respect, he was here, 4 times. With the crowds, that was over 3,000, 5,000 people. That rule never applied. Now we are in a season where we need to move now to the Easter. And then here comes again. Because this country, it is actually standing against Christianity. Now we are in a season where we need to go for the Easters. And then now the rules and the regulations again. No. We are not rebelling. We actually complied as the church. All of us, we have done that. Now we're going to give an account. Personally, I've taken that decision, and then we're not, with other pastors, by the way, we're not going to close our churches, and we're not going to ask people to, to step back and go back. No, we can't do that.
Yeah. Rev Meshoe, you also took the decision to close your church in the beginning. What has changed now?
No, now it's changed because
sorry, Rev. Just for Rev Meshoe.
Okay. It's you, sir.
Yeah, Pastor Meshoe, go for it.
Oh, I was saying, my brother is right. There is clear pattern of discrimination against the church. Whenever Easter is approaching, people talk about super spreaders. The church is a super spreader. And Christian leaders have asked for scientific evidence. And they've not given anything. Last year, we had Easter. People mad. Some in bigger numbers. Political parties mad. And we have never given the figures of how many people were infected during Easter. So, the scare tactics that are being used, we don't like, and we reject them. Let Christians go to their churches and the meetings over Easter to celebrate the resurrection of our Savior, and not allow fear that is driven by government and some media platforms that if you go to church, you are going to be infected. People went there last year, good example, during Easter, they were not infected. This year, we still believe they will not be infected. Let life go back to normal. What also surprises me is that many countries internationally are moving away from these restrictions. If I may ask you, how many countries do you know now that are still enforcing these mandates? They are moving away from them. Countries that were closed, even countries that were demanding COVID passports, they have relaxed their regulations. Israel, America. I wanted to go to America last year. I could not go. I wanted to go to Israel earlier this year. I could not go because they were demanding, they had these mandates, COVID mandates. They wanted passports. But now they've discovered that besides the fact that Omicron is milder, the people who are not vaccinated are not a danger to those who are vaccinated. The other way around. The people who are unvaccinated are not a danger to those who are vaccinated. So let us not try and create fear, doubt, and suspicion in the hearts of the people. Let the vaccinated, out of choice, continue working, celebrating with those that are not vaccinated. Brothers and sisters, hold hands and do not allow people and politicians in particular to separate you.
Appreciate your time, gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for this evening. Rev Kenneth, Meshoe, and Rev Chris Mathebula, they're with us in that conversation.